I'm Tariq Rauf with Atomic Reporters. We are here today in Vienna with Dr. Mohamed El-Baradei, former Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency. In 2005, he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize along with the IAEA for ensuring the safe and peaceful use of the atom. We are here now in April. It's about 30 years, Dr. El-Baradei, since the Iraq War, where you went to the Security Council to brief them that Iraq no longer had an active nuclear weapon program. So now, more than 30 years after that, what are your brief recollections and what lessons can we draw from that?
Iraq was the culmination, in my view, of a global security system that is gradually getting defunct. Iraq was a war against the UN Charter, against international law, against every norm we have tried to develop as a compact under which we can live together in peace. Iraq was not really about weapons of mass destruction. It was about regime change. It was about a group of people, the so-called newcons, who thought that they have to show their muscles. After the dissolution of the Soviet Union, they thought that this is now the time to expand their domination around the globe, that no country should stand in their way. After 9/11, they thought they need to flex their muscle. Unfortunately, they flex their muscle in the wrong direction, because as we have known, Iraq had nothing to do with the Al-Qaeda attack. Iraq, in fact, had no nuclear weapon, but this was a sort of rallying point for them, that let us say we are afraid of Iraq having a massive threat of nuclear and other weapons of mass destruction. They concocted this conspiracy theory. It was, to me, a great act of deception when you had Tony Blair saying that in 45 minutes, in 45 minutes, this dilapidated Iraq after 15 years almost of sanctions, and where everybody Iraq lost all the wherewithal to say that they can develop a chemical weapon in 45 minutes and attack a weapon of mass destruction. Well, all right. Then they sent to Iraq. They destroyed the country. They killed something between 700,000 to 1 million. Lots of people, lots of kids lost their life prematurely because of lack of medicine, because of a horrible sanction. And this is also part of the problem of the Security Council at that time. So Iraq was a horrible episode in our history to live together as a human family. It destroyed in many ways the Security Council. It destroyed international law, and it created a great deal of distrust, between the North and the South.
So I wanted to, at this point, bring in your book, because after you retired, you wrote this book, The Age of Deception, Nuclear Diplomacy in Treacherous Times. And I think we are still in treacherous times, as well as nuclear diplomacy being in treacherous times. So last year, you spoke at the first meeting of the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons, and you highlighted the dangers and the humanitarian consequences of nuclear weapons. Yeah. So what message would you have for the younger generation of the world today in dealing with these challenges?
The message I sent to the young people that we have a defunct global security system right now. No matter how you try to beautify it, no matter how many meetings you continue to have. I mean, we are trying to replace rhetoric by acts. I mean, we don't have now one single arms control treaty in operation. Security Council completely paralyzed, as I mentioned. International law, is becoming almost something of the past. International humanitarian law is noted for exception rather than compliance. So the message to the young people that we are living under Damocles' sword. 50 years ago, we said that system is not sustainable. Nobody should have nuclear weapon, but the weapon state should disarm. Are they disarming? They're going in the wrong direction. They are modernizing. They're expanding. They are using everything possible to be able to threaten the others. So my message is like what the young people have done in the climate change.
Exactly. Yes.
They need not rely on the so-called politicians. The politicians, and I'm sorry, I used to be one of them, failed you. They failed you royally. They failed you because they haven't done anything to enhance your security. And you have to stand up and say, we need a different system of security that is inclusive, that is equitable, and that does not in any way rely on nuclear weapons or weapon of mass destruction.
So finally, since we are here in Vienna at the headquarters of the IAEA and also of the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty Organization, we have about 160 member states of the UN represented here in Vienna. So you already gave a message for the young people, but I think the member states of the IAEA probably could also benefit from a message from you as Director General Emeritus of the IAEA.
The message to diplomats, the message to officials, and many of them are friends and colleagues of us, is a message that you have to look at the writing on the wall. Please stand up and smell the coffee. As they say, what you are doing, just talking to each other, saying that we need to move toward nuclear disarmament, that we need to, have a different security system. I mean, this has become a stale discourse. This we have been hearing, I have been hearing, since the 1960s, since the end of the Cold War, people have been saying that the only way to eliminate the risk is to eliminate nuclear weapons. That message has not changed in single way, in any way. And after 50, 60 years, since 1962, we are not even moving into nuclear disarmament. We are not even moving to any better system of security. We're completely going in the opposite direction. So for the diplomat, beside being a representative of your own country, think as a human being, think as a member of the human family,
yes.
Think of your children and grandchildren, think of the next generation. For God's sake, stand up and be counted, because we are just in a situation which is not sustainable. I do not want to wake up tomorrow and find that the world, as Rajiv Gandhi said in 1970, a world that is different from the world we know today, because some crazy person, some miscalculation, some hyper security manipulation ended up in us sleepwalking and self-destruction.
Nuclear war. Mm-hmm.